Tzipi Livni, as a former foreign minister, we've just heard from the Israeli embassy here in Washington that the Israeli death toll has now passed 1,000 people. And, of course, there's the dire hostage situation. Mark Regev was telling us just an hour or so ago that the response to Hamas has to proceed by air. He didn't say by ground, but that the response, the retaliation, has to proceed whether or not there are hostages there.
Yes, it's not only about it's not only retaliating, and trust me, it's not only the huge number of those that they murder in this massacre. Really horrific pictures and stories that we are hearing on every hour, and you cannot take it off your mind. But it's not only retaliation. There's a real question how the future of Israel will look like, and also how the future of Palestinians in Gaza will look like. And for many years, we had this round of they are targeting gas, we are trying to act against terror in Gaza. But what they did in the last 2-3 days is something that is it's not acceptable. It's terrorism in the most vicious manner against families and children and babies, those that were taken and those that were murdered. And there is no hope for peace in the region while Hamas is controlling Gaza. There is no hope for the Palestinians, and we cannot take it anymore. I was a member of the Israeli cabinet in different rounds against Hamas when they used terror. And really, enough is enough. And we need to change the realities on the ground. They shouldn't control Gaza anymore, and we need the support of the international community while doing so. So we are truly grateful for the position of President Biden and the U.S. administration. It is very important. And it's important also to remember that we left Gaza Strip. We pulled out our forces. We dismantled the settlements. We gave, at the time, hope for a better future to those living in Gaza. And when Hamas took over, they are not willing to accept the right of Israel to exist. They are not representing any Palestinian cause for freedom or a state. It's about the mere existence of Israel. They represent a religious conflict. Religious conflict is unsolvable. And this is similar to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Both these, one is Shia and the other is Sunni, but yet both represent religious ideology that is not representing. Hamas doesn't represent the Palestinian cause, and in Lebanon, Hezbollah is not representing the Lebanese interest. It's about their ideology, controlled, especially Hezbollah, by Iran. And therefore, it's the interest of the entire international community to stop this and to free Gaza from Hamas.
It's so interesting to hear you say that to our American audiences. We've talked in the last couple of months about the protests against the Netanyahu coalition. You were very much against those policies.
Yes, I am.
And so to hear you united with the government right now, totally united in terms of basically their goal is to decapitate Hamas once and for all, that it's not to be tolerated.
Yes, this was my position for many years. And this is needed. It's the interest of Israel right now. It's about our security, life of our citizens, and therefore we need to cooperate and to act together.
I know that you have to go, Tzipi Livni, but it's very good of you to take the time for us today. And I want to go next to Raf Sanchez. Back to Raf. We talked to you about an hour ago. You've seen a lot in the last 30 minutes since we checked in with you. It's good to see you outside, not in a bunker. Tell us what's going on.
Well, Andrea, it has been quiet for the last 20 minutes or so, which has been a rare thing in the southern Israeli city of Ashkelon over the last couple of hours. As you and I discussed last hour, it's now 8:10 p.m. here. Hamas said earlier in the day that they were giving the residents of Ashkelon, the Israeli civilians here, until 5 p.m. to evacuate the city. No one really knew if this was rhetoric or if they truly had something in mind. But at the stroke of 5 p.m., this seemingly unrelenting rocket barrage began, it is by far the most intense barrage of rockets that I have been through since the start of this war 4 days ago. And it underscores that despite the intensity of Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, Hamas retains the ability to fire rockets in great volume at cities all across the south of this country. Now, Ben mentioned earlier that one of the practical things that Israel is looking for from the United States, as you said, Andrea, is money to pay for these Iron Dome missile interceptors. They cost tens of thousands of dollars each. They're shooting down these largely improvised Hamas rockets that cost perhaps a couple of $100s each. It is a very, very expensive proposition to defend your country from thousands and thousands of rockets. So Israel will be looking to the U.S. for supplemental aid on that front. I think one of the other slightly more intangible things that many Israelis, many Israeli political leaders, security leaders will be looking for from President Biden is a commitment to hold the diplomatic line, as it were. Israel is fully aware that in this moment it is enjoying, if that's the right word, a widespread global sympathy. There is shock all across the planet. Even people who are often critical of Israel are stunned at the scenes of carnage in the south of this country. But if, as we expect, Israel moves ahead with a ground offensive inside of Gaza, one of the most densely populated places on earth, there is going to be potentially severe civilian casualties on the Palestinian side. And pretty quickly, the pressure will grow on Israel to call off that offensive. And one of the things Israel will be hoping the United States will do is hold the line diplomatically, give them the political and diplomatic cover as they try to achieve their goals on the battlefield. It's worth saying that we still don't really know what those goals are. We have not yet heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu if the plan is truly an all-out ground invasion with the view of regime change inside of Gaza, toppling Hamas. It's not at all clear, Andrea, what would replace it. Many people might look to the Palestinian Authority, the internationally recognized Palestinian leadership, which is in the occupied West Bank. But you'll remember, Andrea, that the Palestinian Authority were in charge of Gaza briefly after the Israelis left in 2005, and their control there did not last very long. They were overthrown pretty quickly by Hamas. So politically, militarily, diplomatically, it is just not at all clear what the path forward for Israel is in Gaza.